Welcome to It Is What It Is, a true crime podcast. I am your host, Sha Marie. Today is a special episode for my friend who is moving out of state, and so we're just going to do a little episode just for one more podcast for her to listen to on her trip to South Dakota, her new home. Now that I think about it, I probably should have fucking done something on South Dakota, her new home, but I didn't. I'm selfish. Anywho, her name is Tara. I love her to pieces. We actually haven't had a chance to actually see each other in person and catch up in many moon, but I still love her nonetheless. She was ride or die for me for a very long time. She helped me when my brother tried to give me mass concussion. She woke me up every 30 minutes and sat there with me, and she was there when my puppy dog died, and just the list goes on and on and on. She came and got me when I was in fucking Spokane without hesitating. She's did a lot of amazing things for me, and I love her to pieces, and I just want her to know that. And I hopefully, girl, you have safe travels, and don't stop for anybody. When you go to a rest area, make sure you use your phone and call someone. Don't ever stop at night if you can. Avoid it, especially at a rest area. Wait until you get to a gas station. Don't roll your window down all the way if you get pulled over. Make sure you keep that shit cracked so you stay in control. Oh God, there's so many. Never, ever pick up anyone. I don't care if he has the cutest face in the world. Don't you dare pick him up. And in my search of Wyoming, I've learned that twinkle in the sky that just happened, you just seen it. It's a damn UFO. People who drive on the highways and the byways in Wyoming see UFOs. Also, Bigfoot. You can see him right off the highway, like a deer, and everything else. So if you look to your left and you saw that thing going in the bushes, it was Bigfoot. So you seen him. Congratulations. And let me see, Bigfoots and aliens. Those happen. Also, strange disappearances. I'm going to tell you about one. On November 16th of 1982, Donald Kemp went missing. This is 2 months after he sold his belongings, and he set out to do research for his book on the Lincoln assassination, is what he said. He parked his car along the side stretch of our rural highway, and you guessed it, Wyoming. The engine was still running. All his belongings were packed so tightly in his little car, like I'm guessing yours are now, that there was only room for a driver. Just a driver. His clothes, they were strung across the road on the highway. And the car doors were left open, but Don was nowhere to be seen. Now, the only traces of him they found were socks in a barn alongside some sticks. And it looked like he might have tried to start a fire, but they couldn't tell. They also find a bag filled with a teapot, some laundry detergent, a set of some clothing, all this shit belonged to Dawn. And in good Wyoming fashion, in November, a fucking blizzard came down and delayed the search. And nobody found any additional clues of his disappearance for 4 years. Bum, 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 bum. Around 5 months after the authorities discovered the vehicle, 2 people reported seeing him in Casper, Wyoming, 150 miles away from where his car was abandoned. A bartender also claimed that he served Donald, and another witness said that he saw him at an Abraham Lincoln exhibit traveling around the area. A friend of his received several eerie, creepy phone calls 5 months after his disappearance. His friend Judy, a former co-worker of Dawn's, received 5 phone calls of him from an her unlisted New York City phone number. She swore up and down that the man on the phone sounded just like Dawn. And in a message she said, "I'd like to speak to you again. Call me." When she called that number back and asked that guy who answered the phone if Dawn was there, she said yes. Well, he said yes. And then he hung up the phone. So the phone number was given to the authorities. They did come from a trailer when traced, and that trailer was in Casper, Wyoming. That is the same town where the 2 people reported seeing Dawn months before. Now, a guy named Mark was renting this trailer. He says, "I didn't make those phone calls. I have no idea who Dawn is." He says that either somebody must have used his phone without permission or the phone company fucked up. So who really knows? Now, Mark stopped helping authorities 3 weeks after questioning him for the first time. And then he moved away from Casper abruptly. Dawn's mom believes that his behavior, stranger Mark's behavior, is a sign of involvement in her son's death. She says, "God knows what happened to my son in that trailer. It's horrible to comprehend. I don't know. But I think I deserve answers. I try in every way I knew to contact this young man. I finally spoke with him only one time on the phone, and she's talking about Mark. I asked him about my son. He said he knew nothing of Dawn. He just paid the phone bills. He didn't even look at them. And I told this young man he was lying. And I said, quote, 'You know what happened to my son,' end quote. And then he just hung up on me." Mark's a dick. Although the investigators did not find his body until years after his disappearance, they came up with many guesses on what happened. They think maybe a traffic accident had made him unable to get help. Some think that he was taking medication and for pain because he was in a car wreck years earlier in New York, hit by a cab, and so he wasn't of the right state of mind, and so that's what they believe happened, is that his behavior was wonky. and that's what happened to him, and that the reason why his clothes were strung all over the dang highway is because he just went through that bag, went through all of his shit, picked out some clothes, got his teapot, got a bag, and booked it. And then the Wyoming nature just took over. And then, of course, the blizzard came. Now, his medication was left in the briefcase he left at Cheyenne, Wyoming. And he did call that museum and ask them if he left his briefcase. They said, "You sure did." He said, "I'm going to come and get in it." And he never did. And in that briefcase also was all the journals and everything else he had had on Lincoln's death. Now, about his mental state. The highway patrol officer Randy said, "I have no idea what would inspire anybody to walk out there through the prairie in the middle of winter. We considered possibly someone under medication that didn't know what they were doing due to the medication or being under the influence of medication. Probably would have affected him to the point where they would have just kept walking out into the middle of nowhere. When exactly Don goes missing remains unclear. But his car was still running when authorities left it on. But his car was still running when authorities found it, not left it, found it on November 16th, 1982. Police had a very small window of time to search before the damn blizzard came. And it came rolling in just 3 days later. And by this time, the weather had improved. But the trail had gone cold. Nothing they could do. Police did then find that evidence in that nearby barn. But there was no tracks leading out, so they didn't know what to do. And it had seemed that Don had vanished up into thin air right there. The investigators then speculated that Don just simply didn't want to be found. Deputy Ron Johnson, that's my last name, who was responsible for flying over the section of highway where he went missing, said, "I felt the guy was disorientated. I felt that he didn't want to be found. If he would have wanted to be found, he would have heard the aircraft, he would have waved his arms, gotten our attention, gone up on a ridge somewhere. He would have tried to be seen." Now his mother, Mary, wasn't so certain her son's passing was an accident. After police traced the mysterious phone calls to Judy, to the trailer in Casper, Wyoming, she was convinced the man who lived there, Mark, played a role in Don's disappearance. And like I already told you, Mark said, "I didn't make that damn phone call. All I do here is pay the fucking bills. So someone else must have done it." Mary did try to confront Mark in person and on the telephone about her son's whereabouts. And when he moved away, she still thinked it was him. All the way up until her passing. She got someone to take over her son's life, looking over for her son. She rejects any theory that he died of exposure. The last time anybody can definitely say they saw Don was in that museum in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where he forgot his briefcase. And the case contains his glasses. He can't drive without his glasses. So he was going to go back and get those glasses. But he never did. And they suspect the medication as well, like I've already previously told you. So they searched and they searched, but they never found him then. And they said, because his body was found years later by some hikers, by where his vehicle was, not far off from where his vehicle was, and they says, either we missed his body because it was fucking snowing, or he done wandered back to his vehicle later on. And somebody else called Judy from Casper, Wyoming, claiming to be him, to mess with everybody. Yeah. Now, she worked with Dawn for 10 years. So, that's why she is almost 100% confident that those calls came from Don himself. If he did make those calls, however, and did not want to be caught, it's weird that that's what happened. It truly is. And he didn't call nobody, supposedly, until 5 months after the police found the car running. And this was not a throwaway vehicle. And what I mean by a throwaway vehicle is, this is not some Humpty. This ain't the Jeep, Tara. This ain't the Jeep, okay? You don't just leave it. I had a really shitty Jeep. We fucking straight gave it to my friend. Fucking gave it away. It wasn't that. This was Subi style. This was like the Subaru. So, you just don't just abandon it on the side of the road like he did. I don't know. Now, around the same time, there were several sightings of him in the Casper area, like I said. When the hunters found his body just a few miles away, the cops said either the two previous things, and then when everybody was like, well, what if that didn't fucking happen? Then they said, well, obviously someone had to have dumped his body there. And it had to have been somebody who would have had Judy's phone number to call Judy to fuck with Judy. The police believed that his medication caused him trouble and made him act and made him lead into erratic behavior. They also speculate that he only wandered away, good God, and succumbed to exposure. And here is where it gets fun. Also, some people believe that Don vanished because of UFOs. That he saw them UFOs that I told you were in the sky. If you look above you, those aren't stars. Aliens. Some believe that Don stopped, got out, looked upon the evening sky, and was sucked up by a UFO. Others think that he was close to solving Abraham Lincoln's murder. Dun, 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 dun. Which I understand that everybody's like, we already know who did it. But then they say that dude didn't die like they said he died, and that he got away and lived forever and ever on. And so it was a whole thing, and he was wrapped up in the whole Lincoln thing. He was obsessed. It became his obsession. And originally, remember, that's why Don sold all of his shit and moved to Wyoming. Any hooser was to go and to write this book in peace about Lincoln. So, and then Some people say that it was just a horrible accident altogether. And unfortunately, as much as Mary doesn't want to, he did just succumb to the Wyoming elements. I don't know what happened, but I don't know. He is missing. I mean, he was missing. He's not missing, obviously, because I found his body years later, like 5, if I remember right. So, I don't know. That makes no sense to me, because think about that. Okay? He goes missing. They search. The blizzard comes. They stop searching. The blizzard goes away. We don't find him. We go on. And this is where people hunt. Obviously, because hunters find him. And no one hunts this area? In Wyoming? Off of a highway? I doubt. I know it's probably popping. That's probably one of the main places everybody around everywhere checks. So why was Don not found? Until that, all those years later. Who called Judy? Who called Judy? And who leaves a voicemail like he left for Judy? I would like to talk to you again. Call me back. Who the fuck leaves that type of voicemail? Never in my life have I ever heard such craziness. I wouldn't call that person back. Especially, I'd like to speak to you again. Mom? Is that you? But I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't know if the aliens sucked him up. And if y'all listened to my shit before, I believe them. They're out there. It's naive of us to think that we're all by ourselves. Did they take Don and return him? But why keep Don for so long? I don't know. Mysterious things happen along the highway in Wyoming. A lot of murders happen in Wyoming. A lot of fucked up shit happens in Wyoming. There's even a YouTube page of people who hunt Bigfoot in Wyoming, and they have a whole YouTube page dedicated to it. They have like 18 fucking thousand subscribers too. And they're like right on his trail. I watched a couple videos, I won't lie. So that happened. I mean, I don't know. Have y'all ever seen a UFO? Did you see a UFO on this trip? I learned a lot when researching Wyoming that I don't know if I really cared to know before, but I know it now. I don't know. Very spiritual place that Wyoming is. It's very weird. And on this drive, you will see not shit, but flat lands, some mountains, some turns, some hills. But stay awake. It's about 13-hour drive if I map quested it from my house. Don't know where you left in town. So 13 hours? Yeah. It's a hell of a drive. It's doable. I've done it. I've gone to Spokane in a day. Don't know much about Wyoming, though. Driven through a little bit of it, but not much. So, girl, I just hope that your adventures do you well. And I took up almost 30 minutes of your time. Probably could have done longer. But these people don't want to listen to me chit-chat. If you want private messages, I will call you. Or you can call me. Even via Facebook. I'll talk to you. Keep you awake. And hopefully you and your mom are going to have an amazing life there in South Dakota, dude. To be completely honest, I love you. Thank you for your friendship and continuing to be my friend. And I know it's been forever, dude, but I love you. And I have never forgotten where we started. And there is no ending, obviously. But, yeah. South Dakota. Jeez Louise. And the reason why this is kind of a weird little episode is because I didn't have a lot of time to research anything. This idea to do this for her popped up in my head like last minute, like literally 2 days ago, right in the middle of all my Ed Kemper stuff. So, figured why not. But yeah. So, safe travels. Like always, give me a follow, subscribe, comment, like, share, everything else, all of the above. On Facebook, it is what it is, a true crime podcast. That's the same for YouTube. And on Twitter, it is what it is, 208, because that's where I'm from. It's where Tara used to be from. Now she's not. And on Instagram, it is what it is, pod19, all together, one word. No spaces, no punctuations. Follow me. Come on. All right. Have a safe trip. I got to get back to work. I love all of you. Peace the fuck out.